We are going to speak today with Caballero, co-founder at GreenPal. Jean, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about GreenPal and a bit about your background to start off.
Yes, so I've kind of been in the landscaping industry my whole entire life, mainly as a surplus to to make a little bit of money in high school, in the summers, and even in college. And so I've kind of been in that arena for a while. And once I got my first, I guess, corporate job, it was in tech sales. And my territory was the West Coast. And so I was kind of privy to newer technologies like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb. And, having my landscaping background, I knew that, if somebody was going to summon a stranger to pick them up, to take them somewhere, they would do the same with lawn care. And that's kind of how the idea of GreenPal came about.
And where are you based?
We are based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Right. So this is a very interesting look at a case study. The reason I thought it would be fun to have you over here is to expose a part of the world that we don't hear from very much in the startup conversation. Jean, I know you have followed a very lean startup process.
Mm-hmm.
And your journey starts with bootstrapping with a paycheck, which is a methodology element that is an important one in our arsenal. We are building a lot of companies using this particular methodology element. So talk a little bit about how you got GreenPal off the ground, especially what part of the journey did you do while still holding on to the first job?
Yeah, so I bootstrapped with a paycheck for about 5 years. You don't realize how much time in a day you actually have until you can utilize pretty much all of it. So, and my paycheck was very, very flexible. So I knew I could go in at 7 and be done at 4. So I had at least 6 good hours of work that I could do. But a lot of the things that we were able to do, we were able to launch an MVP. We were able to talk to as many consumers as possible. We were able to aggregate vendors, post, 5 p.m. So a lot of the things that we did for growth were after hours. And, we're very fortunate to be able to be underwritten by a paycheck. So we didn't have to go into debt, and we certainly didn't have to, find any seed funding or any money like that. So we're very fortunate to be able to take our time, I guess, to launch GreenPal while not getting into debt, while being able to do things, that were financed by the 9 to 5.
And what was your day job while you were doing this on the side?
Yeah, I was a sales manager for a Fortune 50 tech company. So I sold
Wow.
the computer solutions, a little bit of everything.
All right. And did your employer know that you were, bootstrapping GreenPal in parallel with your job?
There were a few people that knew. One of my late managers, the manager I had the longest, he knew, and he was actually a customer of GreenPal. And we actually, after hours on the weekends, the company I worked with had a huge facility, and so we actually did some work out of there on the weekends. There was hundreds of conference rooms and stuff like that, so we had to actually utilize the campus to have meetings and stuff like that. So I don't, at the time it was after hours, so I don't think it mattered, but they probably frowned upon it if I was there during the day.
Very good. And how did you get your MVP done? You're not a technical founder. Your background is in sales. So did you hire an outsourcing agency? Who did the MVP?
Yeah, so we kind of took a weird journey getting our MVP up and going. So I've got two co-founders, and none of us actually had any, tech background. So we thought the best thing would be to do is to hire a local shop to build our product and build our
Mm-hmm.
apps. And so we paid them $150,000 to build what we thought was going to be the best way to connect homeowners with landscape professionals. And it actually turned out to be one of the best, most expensive mistakes we ever made. When they gave us the product, it was unusable. It had no usability to it. It was horrible. So we knew that we needed to have a technical co-founder on our team to take this to the next level. And so one of our co-founders actually went ahead and quit his day job. He was actually working at the same company that I was working at. He went ahead and quit and was in the first cohort of the Nashville Software School here in Nashville. So he went to software school, took him about 6 months, and then we actually hired a consultant that kind of hand in hand helped him build the actually first true MVP that we had, and that's the rest is kind of history. So he kind of manages the day to day of our tech team, which is about 25 now, and that's basically how we got our MVP. The only thing we kept from the shop built website was they made a how it works video. It was like a minute and a half, and so we kind of joke around and say we paid $150,000 for a minute and a half video.
So let's talk a little bit about how you seeded the marketplace. You obviously did a two-sided marketplace of homeowners and lawn people who wanted to mow their lawns, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the marketplace that you created. So how did you get the two sides of the marketplace on your MVP?
Yeah, so I wish I could tell you it was fun, but it wasn't. We literally to get the vendors, we literally went to Craigslist and cold called vendors in the Nashville area until we had about 20 that were willing to listen to us a little bit more. And then we went to their job site and talked to them, one on one at the benefits of joining a platform like GreenPal. And then we physically signed them up on our platform for them. So that's kind of how we actually did that for the first, I'd say, 10 to 15 markets. We were texting vendors, calling vendors, just manually doing that whole entire process. And then once you have, 10 to 15 vendors in a Nashville area, we kind of started leaning on going door to door. We did that for about 2 months, basically just going to large neighborhoods that were very dense, knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, we have this new product, and instead of calling around instead of calling around and getting quotes, you can go to this website, enter in your address, and local landscaping pros will then bid on your property, and you just kind of manage that online through GreenPal." So that's kind of how we got the first market Nashville started. And through the vendor side of it, we did that through the first 15 to 20 markets was hand cranking, manually, physically talking to these vendors.
And what about the other markets? Those you were not visiting, right? You were not local to be able to visit. How did you acquire the consumer side in these other markets?
Yeah, so the consumer side, we started to rely heavily on PR. Until this day, that's probably one of our best channels. We don't spend any money on advertising on the consumer side. We rely heavily on organic SEO and PR, and that has done well for us. And the vendor recruitment side right now is we have a Facebook campaign that we want to launch in Duluth, Minnesota. We turn on that Facebook campaign and we can have 15 to 20 vendors in that area in a couple of days. So, changing that over to being digital allows us to launch, 50, 60 markets per year.
Okay. So in this mode, as you were growing, city by city, and you said you had three co-founders who were all bootstrapping the company with a paycheck. One of them quit to become the technical person who brought your MVP to life. What about you and the other co-founder? Both of you were still bootstrapping with a paycheck?
Yes, we were both still bootstrapping with a paycheck. And there's just a lot of stuff that needs to be done. You can wireframe the website. We were doing usability studies, with friends and family. We actually rented like a booth at a mall for a couple weekends just so we could get feedback from strangers, and strangers are pretty willing to tell you the truth. Like, hey, this is our product. Do you mind just going through the sign up process and telling me, where you have any doubts or where you have any friction or anything like that? So we did a lot of that stuff. So by the time we were ready to like physically get this designed by a designer, we knew the customer flow, and we knew the onboarding pretty well because we'd done so many usability tests, just with random people.
And your business model is what? This is lawn mowing is an ongoing job, right? Are the vendors getting customers on an annuity basis? They're on a monthly subscription basis, or are they getting kind of like as and when? How does it work?
Yes, so we're a true platform, so we just take 5% of the transaction. So vendors can sign up on our platform and bid on our platform for free. We just take 5% of the transaction. Margins are very, very thin in landscaping, and homeowners are looking to save a buck when they can. So we feel that the 5% was fair for the added value that we're able to give to the landscaping professionals.
But is it subscription or is it transaction? Is the same lawnmower going every month?
It's transaction. Mm-hmm. And what we found is that vendors love to keep their customers on GreenPal because we make it just so easy for them to manage it and get paid after every mow. So, they don't have to go home and send an invoice. They don't have to, get on Google Maps and make the route out for the day. GreenPal basically does all that for them.
I see. Okay, cool. So what about metrics? How was this growing? How many cities? How many customers? What was the growth of the business like as you were bootstrapping this?
Yeah, so this year we're projected to do about 35 million in GMV. That was up.
When did you start?
35 million in gross.
No, when did you start? When did you start the company?
We started in 2012, but we didn't actually start keeping our tally on revenue until about 2015. So we've had really, really good growth, since then. Fortunately, we were able to provide a contactless service during the pandemic, and we were able to grow 25% in 2020 during the whole uncertainty. So, year over year, we've been able to grow almost 100% until COVID, and it looks like this year we'll be up to 50% growth from last year.
And is the 35 million numbers that you're quoting, is that gross business that gets transacted on the site, or is it your revenue?
That is the gross revenue.
Gross revenue. So 5% of that is your revenue, really.
That is correct. That's what we use to keep the lights on.
All right, got it. Okay, cool. So, and you bootstrapped it all the way, right? There has been no financing in this ever.
Has not been. When we needed the money, that's when nobody was calling. Now we probably get a phone or an email every couple of weeks, asking if we would like to take any venture funding on. So, we've gone this far. We've utilized, some short-term debt to help grow, but no institutional funding.
And how many people in the company?
There's 3 total co-founders, including myself, and we have a team of about 25 that work for us in various parts of the world.
I see. So it's largely a virtual company?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And what have you learned in building this as a virtual company? What resources have you tapped into?
Oh, Upwork is a beautiful product. You know, the hiring process has been, you know, in the beginning it was challenging, but you know, the first 5 hires of your company are so critical to its growth and its longevity. And you know, we made a few mistakes in the beginning hiring people. You know, and a lot of the times when you're hiring somebody, you know, you can't really hire somebody in the United States because you just can't afford them. So, you know, we had to look to outsource that. And, you know, a lot of the times when you're talking to somebody overseas, they have no idea what grass is. So there's a learning curve that that they have to learn, you know, to be able to work on your project.
Where are those people?
Oh gosh, we have them all over, all over. A lot in India. We have some in Germany. Have some in Europe, in Canada.
So you are managing the technical team
Correct.
from your organization, and so you're not outsourcing to an agency. You are managing the whole technical team.
We are managing all of it. Mm-hmm.
How many of the 28, 30 people that you have in the company, including founders, are technical?
I'd say everyone but me.
No, meaning they're all working on technical projects? No.
Yeah. We actually have we have a designer that does not have a technical background, and we have about 3 or 4 content writers. So I'd say 90% have technical backgrounds, and including myself, do not.
And your pitch to the sell side of this two-sided marketplace, obviously, when you first get them on, is that they're going to get exposed to more customers. When you actually play that pitch out and actually see execution on that premise, what happens? What are your use cases of what percentage of their revenue are they making off your platform once they are settled in and rolling on the platform?
Yeah, so if you're a large landscaping company, you already have your processes in place. You don't need a GreenPal to help you get business. You don't need a GreenPal to streamline your payments and all that stuff. So our vendor is the guy that's just starting out, or the guy that has 5 to 10 lawns that wants to grow that to 50 or 60 lawns. That is our vendor that seems to do well. Once we get a vendor 10 properties or more, they are about 90% going to bring on their non-GreenPal customers. And this is kind of where we're seeing a lot of our unanticipated growth, is that, you know, you're aggregating these landscaping professionals, and you give them a tool to bring on their non-GreenPal customers. And, you know, because they don't want to fool with it the old way. You know, they don't want to send invoices, and they don't want half and half on a digital platform and a non-digital platform. So when we see that we can, you know, bolster a vendor's business, we see them basically running their whole entire business through GreenPal. And that's kind of what we've seen a lot recently that kind of has helped our growth. You know, it doesn't cost us anything for them to, you know, bring their 30 customers onto GreenPal and let them manage all of that through our platform. So that's kind of one bit of growth that we've seen a lot that we anticipated, but we didn't anticipate it to be as highly profitable as it is.
Gene, I want to make a comment just to underscore what you're doing as a key methodology element in building two-sided marketplaces that we are seeing elsewhere as well, and you're providing another instance, another example of this phenomenon. It is what I call SaaS-enabled marketplaces, software as a service-enabled marketplaces. What you're providing essentially is a piece of software to manage a lawn mowing business, a mom and pop lawn mowing business, a very small lawn mowing business. And people are coming to you and bringing their customers to you because they want you to help manage those customers using that software. So typically, when we first started seeing marketplaces, let's say eBay was the first marketplace in history, people came to eBay mainly in search of customers. But today, we are seeing this vertical two-sided marketplace trend extensively in all industries, all verticals. There are all kinds of two-sided marketplaces that we are seeing. And as a result of that, we are seeing these kind of vertical specific software emerge. And your lawnmower business management software is a little piece of example of that, where it's a very specialized, very niche kind of product. And people are coming in not just in search of customers, but also because they want to use your software to manage their businesses. And this is happening everywhere. Another trend that we have seen along these lines is that people start with kind of a verticalized software product where they give the software first and maybe even charge a bit of subscription, and people come for the software and then start the marketplace once they have critical mass. That's another way of playing the two-sided marketplace trend, especially using this verticalized, very niche software capability. So just wanted to underscore what you're doing is something that we are seeing elsewhere as well, and it is becoming a best practice for running verticalized two-sided marketplaces. So please keep going. You were offering more insights from your journey, and I just wanted to underscore this one, which I think is phenomenally important.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the journey, we talked to so many landscaping professionals, and our offer seemed almost too good to be true to them, and so the reason we didn't fully go with a SaaS product is because we haven't really given them anything yet. Hey, give us $10 a month, and we're gonna hopefully get you customers. If that would have been the conversation to jumpstart our first few markets, it wouldn't work. Now we probably could. Now we certainly could. But there's just so much white space and so many other ways that we think we can, capture more revenue from the customer that we already have, that the subscription model would probably be way down the road. I think with also a subscription type is you're almost beholden to maybe handhold the individuals that are paying that subscription. As of right now, the only vendor customer service is we have a Facebook group. It has about 3,000 GreenPal professionals on it, and basically they post a question in there, and we have GreenPal vendors that have been through us since day one answer the question of the guy that just joined. So it's like a self-propagating customer service that we've created, and there's no need to hire anybody to take the call of somebody that's giving you $15 a month to reschedule an appointment. So that was kind of something that we did, knowing that, hey, we got to keep our costs down. We can't afford anybody to do customer service, especially on the vendor side, when it is really not necessary. So that's kind of another reason we kind of stayed away from the true software as a service business model. But
that's a very good point. If you charge subscription to any kind of customers, you will have to provide customer support against that, and your choice is that you want to make it more as much of a self-service product as possible, and in a transaction model, you're saying that you don't have to provide much customer support, and your community is providing the customer support. But yeah. I could foresee also pushing back on that. Even if you were charging subscription, your community, since it's so, so tight and so well versed, they would probably still provide customer support.
Yeah, I mean, there's some we designed and built a vendor handbook that basically, you can find any answer to any question on how the app works, but that's probably utilized maybe 10% of the time. So we try to not force them, but we try to suggest to them, hey, read this. It takes 10 minutes and it'll answer a lot of your questions that you have about, how things work and what to do in certain situations. But yeah, I mean, it's, being in a bootstrapped, you want to save as much money as possible. And that Facebook group has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars and thousands of hours of tedious work.
Sure. Now, what is your guidance to the audience on when is a good time to quit bootstrapping with a paycheck situation and jump full time into your venture?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be different with everybody. I've mentored some people in the Nashville area that never quit their job. They still do both. So I think it's different with every individual. What my key point was, when I need more time doing GreenPal than I do at my day job, that is when I'm gonna make the leap. And so it was April 17th of 2007 is when that was my last day at my corporate job, and it was just, okay, I can't keep doing both because there's not enough time in the day. And
2017?
2017, yeah. So it was.
It's a long way.
It's a very long time, but I mean, you sacrifice a lot. You don't have any weekends. You don't have a social life. And friends turn into acquaintances because you don't have time to hang out with them. And it's a lonely journey. And make sure you're in it with the people that you like and can stand the most. So it's a very.
But that's also, some of it is personal choice. Some people do a very long bootstrapping with a paycheck journey, and some people, once things become sustainable, once products become validated and revenue generating, and you don't necessarily need the paycheck to sustain yourself, a lot of people do quit and go full time with the venture. Mm-hmm. The other nuance that we should point out is that if you're trying to raise money, before an investor is going to write a check, most likely they will require that you quit your job. However, we have seen very good case studies of people bootstrapping with a paycheck all the way until getting angel or venture funding, and then quitting their job. So that's also fine. Or we've also seen, this is a very interesting situation, we also see people applying to Y Combinator,
right,
bootstrapping with a paycheck first and getting validation and get the business rolling, and then go into Y Combinator and get exposure to a lot of investors and so forth. So we're seeing the reason I am so bullish about bootstrapping with a paycheck as a methodology, and I wanted to showcase your journey, Jean, is that it works. It really works.
It can work. There's a lot of sacrifices that have to be done, but it certainly can work. And most startups don't die by homicide; they die by natural causes, and a lot of those natural causes are running out of money. So if you can help extend the runway by driving for Uber or Lyft, or mowing lawns, or staying with your corporate job, it extends that runway and gives you more options to be more flexible. And if you defer taking money, you're more metrics driven, and you can move a little bit quicker, and you don't have a job or a boss. So I heard a parallel saying that venture capitalists are like they're like hitchhikers. As long as they like where your car is going, they'll keep paying for the gas. But as soon as they don't like the direction that the car is going, they'll kick you out of your car and they'll start driving. So, smiles and
And very
crosses.
often they will drive you down the cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's not a wrong answer. We just didn't have the option in the very beginning to take any money, and it was a blessing. And here we are, self-funded, and we're just gonna keep going that way.
Jean, last question. What has it been like working on this venture out of the Nashville area?
At first we thought it was going to be tough and detrimental. Nothing really, no platform has ever come out of Nashville, and Nashville's really tech heavy right now, just in healthcare. So there was not a lot of people to lean on here to say, hey, how do you start this? How do we go about this? So, we had to rely on Eric Reese and Steve Blank on telling us, what to do, and hours and hours upon podcasts of people that have done what we're trying to do. So I think starting a company is kind of location agnostic. I don't think it matters.
No, not at all. Today there are too many resources with which you can learn, and you can do it anywhere. This was, when we started 1 million by 1 million, that was really the vision that we started with, is to really democratize entrepreneurship education, innovation, and acceleration. And we've done that, and the world has moved, definitely become a globalized entrepreneurship ecosystem, very much so.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Jean, for sharing your story. It was a pleasure to have you on, and we'll keep in touch. Good luck.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.